we need to know what produces money.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to know what those revenue generating activities are. So if you don't know what your RGAs are, then you're going to get stuck in busy work thinking it's productive.
You're listening to Flip Empire, the show committed to helping real estate entrepreneurs who want to build their empire without sacrificing their life. Your success and freedom starts now with your host, Alex Pardo.
My friends, you are in for an incredible episode on the Flip Empire Show. My name's Alex Pardo, and today I get the pleasure of interviewing my friend, Mike Abramowitz, who is just an absolute ninja when it comes to creating a business that provides time freedom. He is somebody who is an expert when it comes to systems, automation, delegation, creating processes, leveraging AI. And there's so many nuggets that Mike drops on today's podcast episode. I cannot wait for you guys to hear this. Mike is somebody who's got 20 years in direct sales training, over 5,000 people, and generated over $19 million in product sales. He is the author of 9 self-help books and founder of a charity providing over 100,000 meals to the homeless. Mike is a serial entrepreneur, having grown multiple businesses and nonprofits that operate without him. And his claim to fame is teaching entrepreneurs how to achieve a time-rich lifestyle. Mike's also a father, husband. In fact, he and I met in another community of other entrepreneurs and businessmen who are family who have businesses, not businessmen with families. And so he's become a good friend. He's also the host of the Better Than Rich podcast show, which I definitely encourage you guys to check out, I should say, because he really dives even deeper when it comes to automation, delegation, and systemization. But I hit him with some very specific questions, and questions that are going to give you the practical steps, strategies, so that you guys can start working on the business, not so much in it. But Mike has a very different way of kind of teaching and sharing. So I'm excited for you guys to hop into this episode. Before we get into that, I've had quite a few of you reach out to me about the Storage Wins coaching program. So if you are somebody who is intrigued by storage, maybe you're a single family investor listening to the show and you might be interested in building a bridge over into storage investing, or maybe you have an active, successful business and you just want to add storage as another income stream and another business opportunity, head over to storagewins.com. Take a few minutes to apply. And if I like what you have to say, we'll schedule a call to chat about it. But specifically, this program is built to help you find fun and profit, acquire your first cash flowing storage facility within the next 6 to 12 months without using your own money or even needing any type of experience. So definitely encourage you guys to check out storagewins.com. Now, with that being said, let's hop into episode 748 with my good friend, Mike. Mike, how are you, my friend? Dude, it is amazing to have you on the show, brother. You and I have struck up a friendship over the course of the last year. We're a part of another awesome community that's already had a pretty big impact on my life, dude. And you're one of the guys that I think, whether you know this or not, has kind of helped shaped a part of my journey over the course of the last year. And I'm grateful to be connected with you, man. Grateful to be friends. And dude, just excited to have you on the show.
Thanks. That means a lot, Alex. I appreciate it. And feelings mutual, dude. I've really grown fond of you and just, getting to know you from the retreats and our monthly conversations. So.
Yeah, man. Absolutely, man. Well, brother, I have so much respect and admiration for you. Like when I think about things like time freedom, when I think about systems, automation, delegation, like you're one of the top 2 or 3 people that come to mind. And that's not hyperbole. Like I genuinely mean that. You alluded to monthly calls that we're a part of, like mini mastermind calls. And brother, every time you share a spreadsheet or you talk about a framework, I just kind of sit back and listen. And I'm like I need to absorb as much of Mike's words coming out of his mouth, because like we all need, as entrepreneurs, I think we all need more systems, automation, tech, things that do heavy lifting for us so that we're not always in this grind, this like hamster wheel that many of us, we call a business, but is it really a business? So as a jumping off point, man, I want to zoom out, kind of get in the clouds, and then we can drill down. But I want to talk about this concept of time freedom, which everybody, people talk about financial freedom all the time. At least I feel like I hear that more. But really, what most entrepreneurs want, it's the money which leads to the time, the things that give them the ability to do what they want, the things that fill them up. I don't want to steal your thunder, brother, but as a starting point, you shared with me before the podcast, which I didn't even know this, so I'm still learning things about you, that you had something pretty serious happen to you. And as a result of how you've set up and structured your business, life didn't just stop for you. So as a starting point, can you kind of share a little bit about your story and why time freedom is so important to you?
Yeah, I'll give the long short version, and then we can go in any direction that you think would be fit. So the long short version is my dad worked 6 days a week as a plumber, owning his plumbing business. So when I left home to go to college, I just wanted to do everything to be a little bit more present and available. He missed a lot of basketball games growing up, so I just wanted to be a little bit more present. So I pursued my engineering degree, but when I was pursuing my degree, I started selling Cutco kitchen knives, and I paid my way through college selling Cutco and advanced into management within the company. So I also started investing in real estate at that point too. So I bought my first house when I was 20. Mom passed, unfortunately, when I was 20, and I bought a second condo and then a third property. So I had 3 rental properties by the time I graduated college. So that was foundational for me. So I could retire at 40 and just really get ahead. And went into direct sales management to teach students how to do what I did as a college kid within Cutco. The challenge was 2008, when I graduated college, market collapses. My whole direct sales business of recruiting and training and managing and everything was built on me. So I worked my tail off, grinding, doing everything, every sales call, every meeting, every interview, everything. And then the investments that I had were also requiring a lot of me. Tenants not paying rent and things need to get repaired. So the short of that story was I lost everything. So I went near bankrupt. I lost the properties. I was negative $130,000 in debt, 400 credit score, abandonment. It was a terrible, really low point. My relationship ended after 7 years. There's a lot of stress financially, emotionally. And I was just working my tail off, making 50 to 75 grand a year to kind of pay off the debt, climb out of this hole. So anybody who's in business understands the grind season. That was a grind season for me all through my 20s. Eventually, I hired a business coach in 2016, and he had experience in corporate to corporatize small businesses. He helped scale a company in India from 6 million to over 30 million. And he showed me how to corporatize my small business where I didn't have to be a grinder anymore. And the reason I hired him is because I was proposing to my wife in 2017. I knew I wanted to have this time freedom. So we started putting systems in place. And the way he described a system to me is a series of processes, policies, and technologies that aid in the goal of the business. So we put offshore workers in. We've McDonaldified all the if-thens of all the different departments. We put some automation tools and using Zapier, all these different things before AI was really relevant. We were doing Zoom meetings and Zoom interviews before Zoom was as it is now, because we wanted to recruit more people. And if they didn't have to drive to the office, or when we were doing in-home presentations, if they could do it on Zoom, they could do presentations with someone anywhere in the country versus just where they live. So we were the innovation station of building out processes before COVID hit. So when COVID hit, it was all systems go. We're running a virtual operation. We did $2.5 million in sales that year, and we crushed it. We provided over 1,000 jobs in 2020. But to the point that you asked in the story, what that really took place was my son was born December 31st, New Year's Eve of 2020 at 1 pound, 4 ounces. So he was 26 weeks, measuring 23. So we didn't know how long we were going to be in the hospital with him. But because of all the systems I put in place, I just let my staff know, hey, you guys are running it. I don't know how long, but you're going to run it. And it turned out to be 254 days. I was working on some of the business stuff from the hospital and taking care of recording videos and simplifying things, but they were operating the business for me, as me, just not by me, still producing $250,000 in revenue, 6 figures in profits without me there. So on September 10th, 2021, when we got out of the hospital in the NICU with our son, I called my coach and I said, my wife is now becoming a full-time medical mom. I need to replace her income while sustaining my income. Do you think we could teach other business owners how to do this? And that was the birthplace of what we do now with Better Than Rich, where we've now trained and coached and helped hundreds of business owners get time freedom in their business by installing systems and predictability. So it came out of circumstance. So since then, that's essentially what we're doing, whether it be installing AI-powered virtual assistants into their business or helping them install simple systems that could be replicated with ease to help buy back time. And now my son is doing great. He's 3.
Thank God.
He was on the ventilator for 2 years, but he's now breathing in his own. He's fully great. He just has a G2. We're working through that. He's catching up on a couple of the therapies. And then we just had our daughter born 5 months ago, who's super healthy and doing great.
Congratulations, man.
Family. And the best part for me that I want to help other business owners with is last year in 2023, I had 9 full weeks off with no technology. I had every weekend off, every evening off, every morning off, and every Monday off. And I say off, meaning not in the business. So I created boundaries in my schedule where my wife can get blocks of time for her to be able to do what she needs to do. I have my blocks of time. We have family time. And I structured it in a way where I was able to not only have the schedule I want, but also 9 full weeks off, still set aside and save 6 figures while investing 30 grand in personal growth, about 10% of my income, and still bought a new car and house. We moved into a new spot. Like that was the epitome of what is on the back end of what it means to be time free. Yeah. And that's what I think I could jam on. And I have created a framework that I could share with your listener if that would be helpful. But before I do that, kick it to you on that's the story.
Wow. Man, that is a tough one to follow up, dude. There's a lot to unpack. And first of all, absolutely, man. Anything I've seen some of Mike's frameworks, anything he's willing to share with you, absolutely take the time to go through it. So Mike, whatever's the easiest way to get this to the audience, you let me know, man, but it would be great. Anything that you'd be willing to share that can help people, because man, everything that you just riffed on over the course of the last 5, 6, 7 minutes, whatever it was, is ultimately I don't think if I asked 100 entrepreneurs, do you want time freedom? I can't imagine any of them saying, no, I don't want time freedom, right? Otherwise, why do you really have a business? First of all, thank God that your son is healthy, right? Congratulations now on the new baby. And just, dude, the fact that you were able to, the first thing I think of is how innovative and forward thinking you were. I mean, the fact that you were on Zoom even before COVID and you had taken the time to kind of create these systems, processes, structures, you leverage technology. What a blessing that when this happens, you were able to just pretty much disconnect for the most part is what I heard, right? And man, as a father who spent 3 days in the NICU 3, and that's only 3 days, not 254 days. I remember those 72 hours, my wife and I, that is the world could have been falling apart and nothing else mattered. I was just focused on my daughter. I was just focused on my wife and my family during that time. And it's incredible to me that you created a real business that you could completely step away from so that you could give all of your time and energy to your family. So kudos to you. I want to take a few steps back because if I'm putting myself in the shoes of the listener, it's wow, that's incredible. And I'm already feeling a sense of anxiety to hit the fast forward. How do I get there? Now, obviously for you, this did not happen overnight, right? So your business is built to, like you said, help hundreds and hundreds of business owners implement these systems, frameworks, technologies, et cetera. So there might be people listening that want to reach out to you and we'll share how you guys can connect with Mike to see if that's a fit. But for people that are just getting started, or maybe people that have been in business for a while, Mike, but they're a one man or a one woman show, or maybe they have a small team, but if they go on vacation for a week, fires are all over the place, business is kind of shutting down, or it's just it's chaos. How do people start to think about creating systems and processes? Do you have any practical steps, just any wisdom you can share with people that maybe don't have systems or have systems, but they don't really follow them?
So there's a couple that I'll riff on. And again, we can camp wherever it sees fit. The first thing I'll say is you said it right. You have to understand what your reason you have a business in the first place. I often hear business owners say, I opened up a business so I can have time freedom, but they quit a 9 to 5 to only work 24/7. So it's we got to understand, why did you create the business? The business, my definition of a business is it's a vehicle to help me pursue my life and my life's purpose. So if my business is a vehicle to help me experience my life and pursue my life's purpose, then I want to make sure I structure that business in a way that allows me to do that. So 2 frameworks I'm going to share with you, and then we can go in more directions. So the first one is, for this business owner specifically, it's important for them to know what season of business they're in. because there's different seasons. There's winter, spring, summer, and fall.
Mm-hmm.
So the spring season is the season where we're planting seeds. That season of this business owner, they need to make sure that whatever seeds they're planting in the business, they're going to harvest those seeds in the fall. So if they want orange seeds in the fall, they're going to plant, or oranges, they're going to plant orange seeds. Meaning, if they're setting up their foundation and the fundamentals of their business, where they're the bottleneck for every decision or every phone call, where every client, every prospect, and every talent member reaches out to them for input or needing their time, then they go into their summer season of grind and building and working and like tending to these seeds that they planted. Well, what happens in fall? Well, now they built a machine that makes them money, but it also is a machine that requires all their time. So whatever fruit you bear in fall is based on the seeds that you plant in spring. So we've got to be intentional with the spring season of planting. And then in the fall season, intentional with taking a step back and enjoying the fruits that we bear. But that's also where we reevaluate, where we conserve our resources for the unpredictable winter season that comes. Winter is the unpredictable season of uncertainty. And there's 3 strategies in winter. Do I try to shovel the snow as it's falling down and tire myself out, and then I'm going to be fatigued for spring? Do I nuzzle up against the fireplace and have a minimum viable product, have the least amount of consequences, be rested and rejuvenated for spring when it comes? Or do I get some skis and sleds and enjoy the winter storm, right? So each season has its own strategy.
Yeah.
It's important for us to remember what season we're in. Too often business owners get stuck in summer, wait for winter, react to winter, and then go right back to summer of grind. So they grind, navigate the uncertainty, grind, navigate the uncertainty, and never take the time to like evaluate what seeds do I want to plant in spring and reaping the rewards and conserving the resources and evaluating the strategies in fall. And that's the working on the business versus working in the business seasons that I would invite the listener to consider and just contemplate on. So the seasons framework is the first paradigm. The second paradigm is what I call the time-rich 6. And the time-rich 6 are, number 1, boundaries. Number 2, communication guidelines. 3, systems. 4, playbooks. 5, team. And 6, tech. And I'll go through this real quick and then I'll kick it to you and we can go whatever direction. So boundaries. What are your boundaries? Meaning, what are the priorities that you are protecting? Your faith, your family, your friends, your fun, your fitness. What are those things that are very important to you in the pursuit of your other F, your finances? So as you're pursuing the finances, what are the other parts of your life that you also want to make sure you don't neglect, that you care to protect, and build boundaries around it? So that way you know what is out of bounds. That's number 1. Number 2 is communication guidelines. So therefore, how do you want your talent, your clients, and your prospects to communicate with you? What deems an email versus a text versus a live call versus a Zoom meeting versus a coffee meeting? What do you want the rules of engagement to be?
Yeah.
That's number 1. And then number 2. Then number 3, we talk about the systems. The systems are the processes, the if-thens. There are 4 pillars of business: attract, convert, onboard, retain. Attracting talent and attracting clients. That's like your lead gen or your application process. Then converting, hiring your talent or selling clients. Mm-hmm. Then there's onboarding of both. And then there's retaining your clients, client maximization referrals, and retaining your talent, your attrition rate and meeting cadence and scaling up and stuff like that. Understanding the if-thens, every piece of the business has a series of if-thens and like flow charts for each of those pieces of the business. Evaluating those systems. Then number 4 is playbooks. Playbooks, what is the documentation and the resources of each of those if-thens?
Right.
SOPs, standard operating procedures. From there, then it's the team. Who is executing those playbooks? You have experts, been there, done that, or you have followers, people that you are paying to just follow the blueprint that you've already created.
Yeah.
Then there's the tech, which supports the team. What is the technology that's going to support your team? The AI, the project management software, your CRM. So the tech that supports the team. That's the time-rich 6. If you really want to create time freedom, too many business owners are like, what's the new tech solution that's going to help me get time freedom? I'm like, that's number 6. Let's figure out what do you want your systems and playbooks to be, and then we could install a team and a tech into those systems and playbooks. But that's just what has served me and worked for me.
Dude, you're a ninja with this stuff, man. Like my head is racing, and as the host, my job is to know where to go next. But there's so many areas we could go in, and I love the way you're so systematic about thinking about these things, right? Like I asked the question as if most people need to jump right into creating systems and processes, but you were like, no, like let's create the boundaries first. Like let's think about these things in order before we even get there. So, here's what I want to do, man. I want to, there's a lot of people listening to this show that are in a season of grind and hustle. In other words, they need to generate revenue today so that they can feed their family next month, right? There's many people listening that either don't have savings that many of us would deem healthy, or like they're in a season of grind and hustle. For those people, Mike, how would you advise or recommend that they go about thinking systematically, thinking about automation, delegation? Because I think there's something to be said. My personal opinion, let me know if you push back, and if you do, that it might make for good conversation. But I see sometimes too many people trying to systematize their business, and yet there's the revenue is so unpredictable, right? Like they might have a boom month, and then they might go 2 months where they don't make a penny. But they're spending so much time and energy trying to create systems and processes. I might argue, and then I could be convinced otherwise, but I might argue they're too early. Like they need to spend more time creating a predictable revenue machine while you're also working on creating some systems and processes, especially if you're not exactly sure what works.
Sure.
Right? How would you think about this? Would you push back on any of that, or?
I don't think I would push back, but I'll say that if you're in the season of again, you said a grind season of working and grinding and making money, great. I've been in that season quite some time. The challenge is we need to know what produces money. Mm-hmm. And we need to know what those revenue generating activities are. So if you don't know what your RGAs are, then you're going to get stuck in busy work thinking it's productive. So it's like being so close to the trees, we can't see the forest. So if that person is like, oh my God, I need to make money today in order to feed my family next month. It's like, how clear is this person on what actually produces revenue? Because more than likely, some things that don't produce revenue, for example, is checking their email, managing their social media, as an example, booking up their own appointments. Right. So if we could get into the granular level of exactly what this person is doing for work or for business, but more than likely they are doing $5, $10, or $15 or $20 an hour work, being busy. And that is really a distraction from the $100, $200, $500, $1,000 work that is really being productive, that is moving them closer to making money. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes, like it's so funny. I don't want to give his name. I doubt he's going to listen to this, but I had a mentee of mine. He's a little younger, so he's not like the demographic of the audience, but he spent the night at my house. And I woke up, he was on the couch just banging away on his computer. And I said, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm just like updating this, the CRM and just like getting the database updated so it's easier for me to do later." I said, "How much money did you make last year?" And he said, I sold 350 grand and make 50%. So whatever that is.
Yeah, 125 grand.
Yeah. Minus expenses and stuff. I said, okay, so let's do some math. How many weeks a year, how many weeks did you work last year? And he's like, I don't know, probably about 45. I said, cool. How many hours a week would you say you work on the weeks you're working? He says, probably about 70. So we just did like an equation. It ended up coming out to be like $80-something an hour or something like that. Mm-hmm. I said, would you pay someone $80 an hour to do this work that you're doing right now? I said, no, I could just do it myself. It's easy. I said, well, what's the thing that you can do, but nobody else can do? What is in your genius that nobody else can do? He said, well, calling right now. And I could call and like check in with my clients or finding businesses that I could do work with. He's like, I just don't feel like doing that. I said, oh, so you're building your business based on how you feel in the moment. That makes a lot of sense. And that's also probably why you maybe don't have as much money in the bank that you probably could. You didn't save as much as you could or desired the lifestyle that you have. That's whatever it might be. And this is a single dude. It's no problem. But the listener, I'm speaking to you when I say this. If you're stuck doing busy bottom 20% of your tasks thinking that's productive, that's the problem.
Yeah.
You start with the buy back your time method, hired administrative support, like Dan Martell says, get the bottom 20% offloaded as fast as possible. Get some virtual assistants handling your inbox, your calendar, your appointment setting, data entry, CRM management, your social media, posting for you, content, like all of that type of stuff. Get that stuff offloaded. So you are the only thing you're doing is what's in your genius that produces money. What's going to produce money? It's either making sales. It's like making sales or finding people to sell to. So it's either like selling or prospecting people I can sell to. It's more than likely probably those two things, or maybe it's like selling more to the people I've already sold to previously.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what's showing up for me.
Yeah, I mean, look, I know my audience, so I can speak directly to real estate investors as somebody who ran a wholesaling operation for 16 years and, now have transitioned to self-storage. At the end of the day, it's about having conversations with owners and making offers. I mean, yes, we can color it up with a lot of other stuff, but at the end of the day, like we can't close deals without like having conversations or somebody having a conversation and then somebody making an offer. Like that's pretty much what it boils down to. I don't know, Mike, I think my personal opinion, and I can only speak from, this is an experience share from people I've coached from struggling in this area during many different seasons of my life and business, is sometimes the busy work feels comfortable. It feels good. It feels like we're making progress. The fact of the matter is we're really not, though, right? Like the RGAs, the revenue generating activities, oftentimes are the things that put people outside their comfort zone, even though those are the things that are going to lead them towards what they truly want. Yeah. And so they stay in the pocket, they stay in the comfort zone, and yet they wonder why they don't have the kind of money they want, or they don't have the time freedom, right?
Here's the deal. When I got out of the hospital, the step number one, when we got out of the hospital, I said, all right, what are we going to do to see product market fit in the marketplace? Like, what are we going to do? We said, let's put it on an event. It's like, cool, we don't have money. It's like, well, let's go sell the first person, use their money to put on the event. So we said, all right, we're going to do a retreat in November. Now it's like September, October. We're going to do a retreat in November in Mexico. And the first person we sell, we're going to use their money to put down the deposit for the Airbnb. So what did I do? I made a list of 140 people in my warm network. And guess what I did? I dialed no less than 7 calls a day, no less. I had other stuff that I had to do, but I made a commitment, no less than 7 touches a day. If people answer the phone, great. If they didn't answer the phone, I'll do at least 7. I made the commitment to myself. Some days it was 30 or 40 calls, but it was at least a tiny action I made a commitment to. And from those conversations, I was able to make contact. And from that contact led to 20 people. We had 20 people, $5,000 a piece, go to this event in Mexico. And it was a fantastic event. But here's the other piece of that lesson. At the event, we tried to have an offer on the back end, but the offer on the back end was like, I can't use this stuff, because it was like a purpose, like find your purpose type of conference, like event that we did. Right. It was incredible. Everyone's like feeling great. They feel fulfilled. They're like, I got to go back to my business. I need to go back to my business so I can have time freedom to experience all the stuff that you guys just taught me now. I feel great, but now I got to go to business. So we said, let's do this again. So we put on a second event in March. So January, February, March leading up to it, same strategy, made this list, happy calling, and sold another 20 people about a $5,000 price point. And that was business systems mastery.
Yeah.
Sold that event. And at that event is where we came up and said, wow, what if we had this other offer while we had a captive audience? Would you be interested in this other offer? And that other offer was, if my team of 12 virtual assistants did work for you, would that be of interest to you? And they're like, yeah. So I did a beta test. I said, I'll test it with 5 of you. 10 raised their hand. I said, all right, I'll test it with 10 of you. My team of 12 VAs doing work for you. Let's see how that goes. It was March 2022. Now we're in May of 2024. We have 60 to 70 clients that use a virtual assistant agency that we ended up creating because the marketplace said this could be a really good idea. So what's the so what for someone listening? Number one, the RGA, picking up the call, making contact. If I'm not making contact, it's really tough to make the sale. So doing the uncomfortable thing that only I can do. leveraging my warm networks, my relationships, my social capital, and my ability to persuade and influence.
Yeah.
The other piece of that is when I have a captive audience, I've got to make sure I'm delivering massive amounts of value to them and figuring out what they need and what they want, and how can I satisfy their pains and give them an immense amount of pleasure. Yeah. What does that look like for you as in your industry? I think is really important. So, right. All right, I'm just kind of.
No, I love it, Mike. You know, a coach of mine says it's what's called the BS method, right? A lot of people will go build something, then go try to sell it. You did the exact opposite. Like, you found the need in the marketplace. You knew you had a solution, and you just went into selling. You didn't go into like, let me go find the domain. Let me go create a logo. Let me figure out what the business name is. Like, all the crap that might sound fun to you, but is not an RGA activity. It might make you feel like you're making progress, but none of that matters. The marketplace doesn't care about you or your domain or your slogan. It's about getting out there and just dialing the phone and making sales, like putting yourself out there, making an offer, right?
And to that point, we took 10 grand from profits and we said, let's turn this 10 grand into 30 grand in the next 90 days. So that's when we took 10 grand from the profits and bought a nice ClickFunnels sales page. Yeah. That's where we took this process and created a mini course, a 5-day mini course that we sold 104 people into. And from 104 people had a back end offer where we closed 31 at a $5,000 average price point on the back end of that. So we turned the 10 grand into 30 grand, which was the mini course itself. And then we took 30 grand and turned that into 3X into 90 grand, which was how to execute. We had to execute that mini course in a very high capacity. So the 10 grand went to producing the mini course, and the other 30 grand was execution of it. We didn't need to spend that much, but that was the concept. How can I 3X from some of the profits? And that's what led into year one, we did 200K. Year two, we did 600K. Now we're on pace for 7 figures in these first 3 years since 2021. Just sharing this origin story to help someone understand 100% the administrative stuff is going to be there. And we got to have some, go to Fiverr.com, Upwork.com, find some people for $5-10 to handle some of that stuff for you. Project oriented. You could, if you want it easy, you could use our service. We have it. Where ours is more of a little bit more of a premium, but like, you got to start there, get out of that desperation, get out of that scarcity, say, oh, I don't want to pay this money because what if I don't make the money? It's like, well, get this stuff offloaded and do RGA activities. And that's what's going to help you, kind of interrupt those patterns, interrupt that cycle.
Yeah. Would you say, Mike, that the first person that most people, I hate to speak in absolutes, right? Because there's always going to be exceptions, but would you agree, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but would you agree or disagree that most people should hire some type of assistant, whether it's an executive assistant, a local assistant, a virtual assistant? Would you say that should be most people's first hire?
100%. I would go with a virtual administrative assistant offshore because the dollar goes further. Mm-hmm. So that's by far, that's the first place to go. And my first virtual assistant I got was I paid a company $2,500. And they found me a qualified designated virtual assistant, but I had no playbooks, I had no systems. So that's why I say I had the who that was qualified, but I didn't have any work for her to do because I was the bottleneck. So that's why I encourage business owners to really try. I don't want to get too far into overwhelm, but if you have an idea and understanding of what you want offloaded, what are the if-thens, then you spend the money on the who. So because if you prematurely buy a who that's low cost, they're a doer. And a doer needs to be told what to do by who's the business owner. If you're going to spend a premium, you're going to hire an expert who knows what to do, but you're going to pay more money for that. Mm-hmm. So the doer needs to be told what to do, which means the business owner, here's how we simplify it. All you do is what Dan Martell says, do the camcorder method. You hop on Loom, it's $5 or it's 5 minutes for free. You can pay for it. You hop on Loom and you do the thing, whatever the administrative thing that you're doing. You click record on Loom, loom.com. Highly recommend paying for the additional AI features and stuff like that because it's really badass. But you just hop on Loom and you record, and then you take that recording and you give that to the admin person and say, go do this thing. Yeah. So here's one little secret thing, Alex, that I want to capture, and this might be a little soundbite for anybody listening. Too many business owners do a task to get the task done. My suggestion is do the task to get the task delegated. So instead of doing the task to get it done, do the task to get it delegated one time. So therefore, every other time it's delegated. So what I recommend, this is what I do. I've done this for many years. Before I even knew what I was doing, I would do the task. Right now is the easiest way. Just click record. And I record myself doing the thing, no matter how simple it is. Some of these recordings are 60 seconds.
Yeah.
I went to this website, clicked this button, dragged it over here, typed this out, and send and recording. Now that's a process. I have a video library of hundreds of these types of videos that I only did the task once. And here's why, Alex. How many times as a business owner do we say, I'm just going to do this thing to get it done because I only got to do it one time until the second time? And then the second time you're like, damn, I really should have documented this the first time I did it. All right, let me just get this one done real quick. And then you take a second time, I got to do it real quick. And then the third time you're like, damn, I really need to document this. So instead, just do it the first time. Document it and delegate the first time. Yeah.
It's absolutely brilliant, dude. And I can tell you, like, I'm literally living this right now. My challenge has been, Mike, where there's a task that doesn't happen very frequently. Like, I'll give you a personal example. Yesterday was day one of onboarding a new executive assistant, not a virtual assistant, a new executive assistant. And I realized that, like, I don't have a process for like creating her dedicated company email. I don't have for like little basic things like that, like getting her access to like my Google Drive, like all these types of things. And as I'm going through these little things, even though it's just going to take me 2 minutes, I'm thinking to myself, I know better. I should have a system, a document, somebody, not me, somebody should be doing these things. But yet these moments happen so infrequently that I'm like, I'll just eat the frog for the couple of minutes and that's it. And I realize, I know better. That's not the right mindset to have. But if I'm being honest with you and the audience, like I've fallen into that trap. It's like, it doesn't happen that often. So I'm just going to just eat the frog, do it. And like, that's it, be done with it.
Most of us do.
And then what happens is a year and a half later, I'm like, I'm forgetting, like, I haven't done that in such a long time that it takes me longer. And if I just would have had a system and a process, like, anyway.
And the benefit is when you have that system, that like little system, again, it's so small, simple thing that you can do. Just click record on Loom and do the task and narrate yourself doing the task. So that way, when you eventually get an admin assistant, you have that little activity or that little task documented.
Yep.
And now you just start building that library. And what's nice about Loom, it makes it easy. You can build a video library. So I have like 9 videos on inbox management. I have like 7 videos on using our learning management software, Thinkific. And every time there's like a small little thing, I'll do it once in order to have it documented. And what's nice about Loom, the AI feature, that will just turn it into an SOP for you for a couple dollars. It's like really, really amazing. But if you have an admin, they could turn it into an SOP. You put it into a Google Drive folder and you label it, whatever you want to label it. I mean, there's so many easy different things, but this is something that I'm doing right now for those that already do have a virtual assistant. You're like, damn, I can do a little bit more with my VA. On the link that Alex is going to give, I attached my calendar of these free installation workshops that I've been doing, where I'm training you or your VA essentially how to do certain things. So like last week, I just finished Avatar Tone and Brand, ATB, to train your ChatGPT 4 on how to write for you as you, so you could have a VA respond to emails or send out social media, or create content, comment on people's profiles, lead nurturing as you with your tone. Starting this week, I'm doing inbox management of organizing your inbox. So that way, clear labels, what needs to get automated, filters, follow-up rules, like all those types of things. So I already have the done for you prompts. And now I'm hopping on and doing done with you of like, let's get this stuff done together. I'm calling it GSD, get stuff done. So I don't know if it's a clean show. So we'll just get stuff done. And that's kind of what I'm doing. And I am really called to help business owners get stuff done. There's too much education out there. There's too much information out there. Let's implement these things. Let's install these things and let's get stuff done. So that way you don't have to be bottlenecked and you don't have to be spending time on busy work. You have higher value tasks and things that need your genius and attention.
Man, I'm going to connect with you offline because I'd like to get my assistant plugged into that training that you talked about, inbox management. Like, brother, that is a pain point for me. And so I'm embarrassed to admit it, man. All this, and like my inbox can be a mess at times. So anyways, we'll connect offline on that. But guys, I put it on the screen for those of you who are watching this, but if you're listening to the podcast, you can get your free delegation plan. If you go to betterthanrich.com/90-day plan. Brother, you just mentioned a little bit about what they're going to get, but like when they go to betterthanrich.com/90-day plan, what exactly, because I know there's several valuable resources.
Yeah.
Can you just kind of quickly highlight what that is?
So there's a 25-page time audit workpage to help you figure out and do a time audit. What is your dollar per hour worth, and what are the bottom 20% of those tasks? And then what are the high value tasks? So if you just go through the 25-page workbook, that's there. But if you want to actually walk through that workbook, what your focus, your outcomes, and your needs are, you book a call. That 90-day plan will map out a 90-day delegation planning session with you. So that way, if you have your own virtual assistant, you have a plan. If you don't have a VA, then you at least have a plan for when you do get a VA. And at the end of the conversation, if you're interested in our services, we obviously could click one button at the end of the convo and assign you a team of virtual assistants to tackle all that bottom 20% for you, if that's something that could be of value. And then if you need a little bit more education and more support, we do have a couple of other like mastermind groups and get stuff done summits and installation events that people fly out here to St. Augustine, Florida, for me to like workshop inside their business with you and build some stuff out with them. But that's really like the higher ticket stuff. I have tons and tons of free stuff to help business owners get to a point where they want to buy the high ticket stuff, kind of like Alex Ramosi. Give your best stuff away for free and let them use the free stuff to become more time free. And then it's like, all right, now I have more time and I have more money. Let me pay for your higher ticket stuff.
Fantastic, man. Dude, so much value, man. I could talk to you, and fortunately I do get to talk to you often, but I can talk to you forever and ever. So highly encourage everybody listening and watching to go to betterthanrich.com/90-day plan. I know I will, and so my assistant and new team member. Last question before we get you out of here on this, Mike. I see a lot of awesome, just incredibly valuable books that I have gone through. I mean, I'm looking at Traction. I'm looking at Russell Brunson's Expert Secrets, Hormozi, $100 million leads, $100 million offers, buy back your, so many good books. If you had to you were on a deserted island and these are the only 3 books you could have here. And here's the twist to the question. You could only pick one book on business. You could only pick one book on finances. And then you could pick one book on, let's call it family/parenting/relationships. I realize those are some different categories, but we're going to lump relationships, family, and parenting into that one last bucket.
Damn, you're putting me on the spot here, man.
I know, man. I know.
I had a home organizer come to my home and organize my books by category, so it makes it a little bit easier.
Okay.
But business is Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell because of how impactful it was for me.
Okay.
So that one's easy. I'm going to give Buy Back Your Time the shout out there.
Okay.
For finance, I'm going to go with. For me, it's like an underrated book, but it was by Robert Kiyosaki and Donald Trump, written years ago, called "Why We Want You to Be Rich."
Yeah.
And I found it at the dollar store for $1, and I read it, and it opened up my mind to wow, I didn't know any of this stuff about money or the gold standard. It just opened my paradigm. So that was kind of an opening for me that led me into the Millionaire Next Door and some of those. And also paired with Rich Dad Poor Dad. So again, it only has to be one, but I have a bunch of those that I've read. From a relationship book, I just picked back up yesterday Men's Work by a friend of mine, Connor Beaton.
Okay.
And I think that for me, it's extremely valuable for me to just get into my myself of what I can actually do to influence me, so I can become a better man and a better dad and a better husband. And I think he's just done a marvelous job. The journal prompts and the exercises in his book and the stories that he says is fantastic. I had him on my podcast, Connor Beaton from Man Talks. He has really done a masterpiece with his book called Men's Work. So those of you, put me on the spot, brother. I love it.
No, dude. You couldn't have given a wrong answer. Just knowing you and looking at all the books you have behind you, it was impossible to just botch that question up. By the way, man, it's super. Just shout out to Connor Beaton, because I had an opportunity to speak at a local Man Talks event. Probably this was going back 5-6 years. So yeah, man.
You, dude. I did it in 2016. When did you do it?
This must have been around 17, 18. This was in Miami. Yeah.
Because I'm like, that's cool. Yeah, that's how I met him. That's how I got connected.
Very cool, man. Very cool. Well, guys, we can go on and on about this. Again, I want to encourage you. There's a lot of different places where you can plug in to get more of Mike and just all of the valuable content and resources he has. The Better Than Rich podcast. Highly, highly recommend that you guys check that podcast out, subscribe to it. I was super grateful and fortunate to have recently been on it. Go to betterthanrich.com/90-day plan to get all those valuable resources. And again, the biggest thing here as we start to wrap is just take Mike through a lot at you today. Just take one or two nuggets, one or two of the things that really resonated with you and act on them. And my encouragement would be to start with that 90-day plan, because I think he said there's a 25-page resource or something where you could just start to document a lot of the things that are going to give you clarity and awareness so that you can just continue to make progress from there. So guys, thank you for listening and tuning into the Flip Empire Show. We are about to celebrate the 8-year anniversary of this podcast, which is mind-blowing to me. And I would not be doing this if it were not for you tuning in, listening. So I value your feedback. Grateful for any ratings and reviews in Apple Podcasts and Spotify and the other platforms. And selfishly, I get to connect with awesome guys like Mike, learn alongside you, and just continue to deepen those meaningful relationships. So thank you guys for everything. And Mike, thanks so much for the wisdom. Love you, brother. And I look forward to connecting with you soon. Okay.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Take care, guys. All right, my friend. I hope you enjoyed that Flip Empire episode and got a lot of value out of it. Make sure to check the show notes page for any resources that were mentioned. And speaking of resources, honestly, I don't think I've done the best job of sharing with you my top curated, highly recommended tools and resources that I use in my business or have used in my business. In some cases, these are affiliate relationships with people that I highly trust and respect. And I know these tools and resources can help you and your business go to the next level. And as an ethical bribe, if you decide to try out one of these resources using my link, I will go ahead and send you an unadvertised bonus. I'll send you something of high value. All you got to do is shoot me an email, alex@flipempire.com. Go ahead and let me know that you tried out this resource, and however I can help you getting started with that, chances are that I know it very, very well and currently use it or have used it. So make sure to check that out, flipempire.com/resources. And if I can be of help or service to you in any way, just shoot me an email, alex@flipempire.com, and I will do anything I can for you. Have an amazing day, and I'll catch you on the next show.